வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். Of G.S. Amrit, be blessed by the divine bliss. Guru Namam வாழ்க, குருவே துணை. Purpose of life is something that we may not even understand even after living a whole life. So to discuss it in a brief 15 minutes is like trying to put an elephant through a needle hole. But we will try and do justice, since most of you have already might have understood, already being in the system for so long. Professor Naresh Ayya spoke about, can I see God? 2 weeks ago. Professor Kumar asked us, what is the other end of mind? And gave the answer to as God last week. But is seeing or perceiving God the only purpose of life? And if it is so, how many have succeeded in seeing God? Let us collectively do some loud thinking on this subject based on Swamiji's teachings. First of all, for the common man, seeing God is like watching a majestic figure coming down from sky and doing some miracle and disappearing. But apparently, no one has seen this happening in his lifetime, at least in this century. Great leaders like Gandhiji and Anna gave a slightly different perspective. They both said that they see God in a poor man's smile. They were just stressing the need for love and compassion among all human beings, which is essential for a safe, comfortable, and peaceful passage of our lives in harmony with self, society, and nature. Let us now see what our own Swamiji says. He says that at the tender age of 7, he had just 3 big questions in his mind all the time. Namely, who is God? Who am I? And why is there so much poverty in the whole world? Over the years, Swamiji read a lot of scriptures, met a lot of people, learned 3 forms of medicines or medical treatment, and practiced them with vigor, and above all, did a lot of meditation and self-introspection. In the end, he has delivered us an elixir called the sky system, through which we can understand the purpose of our life much better and clearer, perhaps in a much shorter time. So let us start with, what is human life? It is the greatest gift that we humans have got thanks to the possession of the 6th sense. Now, we know that life on planet Earth evolved from 1 sense plants to 2 sense worms to 3 sense insects to 4 sense reptiles to 5 sense animals. And over a long period of time, some of these animals developed and evolved into the 6th sense humans. Now, what is this 6th sense? You will be surprised to know that in many of the sky programs, for corporates especially, we came across many people who could not explain or define what is the 6th sense. And it took a while to educate them that the 6th sense are the ability to infer, question, introspect, research, and resolve is what made humans the brightest species on Earth. Swamiji says that as the cycle of development of life on this Earth completed its evolutionary process, nature helped the humans to hone in their mental skills so that they can live in harmony and achieve the purpose of their birth. However, in reality, an average man uses only 3 to 5% of his true mental potential. Almost 95% of our true potential remains unutilized. That is where the problem lies. So we can say that realizing the optimum potential is in one way the main purpose of human life. We will now see more about how Swamiji has outlined clearly what is the purpose of life and why we need to understand, realize, and achieve or fulfill it. Most of our lives is spent only on three centers, namely the body, mind, and emotions. Thus, having very little time and making very little efforts and not having enough energy for the ultimate center, that is the soul or soul consciousness. It is only by freeing up our life energy from the first three centers that we can get enough wisdom to get connected to the source of creation, or what is known as the supreme consciousness. Man's life span is limited. If we spend most of our life undergoing pain and misery created by our will, then we will never be able to fulfill the purpose of our life or of our birth. In the past, it required years of inner vision or inner cleansing, even for the very disciplined and intelligent individuals. Only a few sages like Buddha, Vyas, Thiruvalluvar, etc. could achieve true mukti or moksha. But Swamiji has made it so simple for even lesser mortals like me to try and understand and search for soul consciousness through the process of yoga, meditation, and introspection. Now, what is Sattvic life and why is it recommended? It is all about being careful, being constantly aware and alert in receiving right materials, food, thought, and emotions. To begin with, we should start eating only half our stomach, fill 1/4 with water, leave 1/4 empty for the universal energy to enter and act on our body in digesting food and enhancing our mental functions too. In order to make this life purposeful and to enjoy happiness, success, peace, and harmony, man should simultaneously maintain harmony in thought and deed in conjunction with three factors, namely, creation of problems produced by our own will should be reduced and then stopped. Ability to solve the problems arising from the law of nature should be developed. 3, everyone should be given the opportunity to enjoy his birthright and full freedom, which will then enable him the goal of perfection. To achieve, maintain, and enjoy all these values, one must, first of all, regulate his moral behavior. Secondly, achieve sufficient material prosperity in society. And thirdly, realize the law of nature and its unfailing cause and effect system. This is what Swamiji says. For the welfare of one and all, the three virtues of morality, duty, and charity are absolutely essential. This will lead to greater peace and prosperity in society. We talked about regulating our food and how to consume them. But food alone cannot build or sustain our body. We need to do the right exercises on a daily basis to lead a healthy life, including breathing exercise. Meditation is the next step to relax and regenerate the mind. Relaxation should also be done as a compulsory practice routinely One of the most simple definitions of meditation is simply sitting and doing nothing. Swamiji calls it Summa Iruttal in Tamil. But by doing nothing, it is meant that you should reduce and finally try to stop your thoughts too by practicing meditation regularly so that your mind is also doing nothing. You can do this by first replacing negative thoughts or nakaratmak vichar with positive thoughts or sakaratmak vichar. And then slowly reducing the number of thoughts crossing your mind. Swamiji gives an example of a pot filled with dirty air or dirty gas. So what do? You take it out, remove the lid and keep it in the open. The fresh air fills in and the bad air goes out. So similarly, when you fill your mind with positive thoughts, then the negative thoughts
5 minutes में
will go away. 1 second. Yeah. Now what is mind? Just as how a series of trees is called a forest, a series or collection of thoughts is mind. We are slaves of our thoughts on a 24/7 basis. And unless and until we learn to reduce and control our thoughts, they act as the greatest barrier between us and our soul. When we do meditation, the mental frequency reduces, and so does the number of thoughts crossing our mind. Agya meditation, as the name suggests, that is, Agya means command, helps the mind to regain control over the 5 indriyas or senses. Mankind has almost lost the art of controlling thoughts, especially in the 21st century, due to many sources of inducement of external thoughts like television, social media, hate speeches, etc. When a TV is playing in your neighbor's house, even in low volume, or when a group of people are discussing about the war in a low tone near your house, all these external events or thoughts reach your mind as thought waves and eat into your mind and its mental peace. That is why Bhagavan Buddha said, even 2,500 years ago, that your mind is the root cause of all your miseries. If you practice and thus learn to be thoughtless, even for short moments, like when we reach Sivakalam, we can experience bliss or godliness in these short moments of truth. Now I want to ask you, why Swamiji is attaching so much importance to blessings? Because other people's thoughts affect us greatly. Our perceived enemy's thoughts will affect our minds even more. As a result, we will keep thinking about them more and lose our mental peace. If you go to bed thinking about your enemy, then is it not like sleeping with your enemy in a metaphorical sense? Isn't it a shameful thing to do? Instead, if you keep blessing everyone again and again, then will they all not be sending the same positive ways back to us and thus give us more blessings? It is therefore a good practice to say the twofold moral principle oath even before going to sleep daily. Similarly, Swamiji has taught us the techniques to conquer our bad temperament by analyzing our thoughts regularly, by neutralizing our anger through a sustained effort and exercise, by moralizing our desires, by eradicating our worries, and by observing or practicing harmony in life with family, society, and nature, and by also learning to lead a life with detached attachment. Once we follow this type of discipline in life, then it becomes possible to realize the nature, its state of origin, its force or movements, and the results of these actions or movements, according to the time, place, and mode of contact of these forces with one another. In his zeal to acquire material prosperity and enjoyment thereof, man tends to become emotional, short-sighted, and forgetful of the consequences. So only problems and miseries are seen everywhere. Science and technology, based on the true philosophy of nature, will help man to be free of emotion, be broad-minded, and far-sighted. He will become aware of the consequences of his actions. Further, his behavior will be according to moral tenets. This will result in happiness, harmony, and peace for everyone in society. As Einstein has said, science without philosophy is lame, and philosophy without science is blind. Hence, philosophy and science should serve together the activities of man. This coordination is what Swamiji calls as the philosophy of life. It is a very principle of life. Once we understand this philosophy of life, then we can learn the 12 principles of life through our own life experience by studying books of Swamiji and scriptures by others and by learning from experienced wise men. Then we can become a true karma yogi and will learn to pursue the ultimate goal of self-realization while doing our work sincerely without getting disappointed or emotional with the results. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, Karmanye vadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma fal heturbur ma te sangutsva akarmani. You have every right to work, but without expecting the fruits out of it at once. Let the focus be not on the fruits, but in doing our work well. Do your job, results will come based on your own cause and effect system and the karma vinay. It is only in this elevated level of consciousness that we can aim or attempt to achieve self-realization. That is how Swamiji also got the clear answer to his primary question, which arose at the age of 7, namely, who am I, through his own efforts for many years. But we are fortunate because he has given it to us in a very simple manner for us to understand. He realized that the body is a mass of atoms. The atoms are the action state of matter or truth. These particles are the dynamic energy of truth. The mind is the projected state of the soul when it functions within the body. Everything is truth or matter in the primordial state. The soul, mind, and the body are the evolutionary stages of truth, says Swamiji. There is nothing in the whole universe except truth. So the answer to who am I came to him as I am the truth. Understanding this, one surrenders the concept of I or his ego completely to the Almighty. Only when a man understands this ultimate and divine truth as well as its functions does he start to live according to that understanding, and hence he will then enjoy a peaceful and blissful life. Thus, when a man achieves self-realization, he gains a breadth of vision, mental equilibrium, and other such noble qualities. He then wants to be of service to others. This enables him to lead a life of peace and bliss. Thus, the purpose of life is not just achieving self-realization and liberating the soul from the cause and effect cycle, that is devoid of imprints and getting liberated from this world forever. It is also about loving all humans and nature and providing service to them. That is the reason noble souls like Swamiji's are still living in this earth, providing support to us through their sukshma form. When anyone achieves self-realization, he gains a breadth of infinite vision, mental equilibrium, and other such noble qualities, and wants to be of service to others. That is why all liberated wise men set out on a path of public service, spreading the message of God as love and compassion, and striving their best to emancipate the ordinary mortals from poverty, ill health, and extreme emotions. Finally, I will conclude with one of Swamiji's quotes on the purpose of life, which is as below. The enlightenment of consciousness, which is purpose of life, is achieved gradually and naturally through regular practice of Kaya Kalpa Yoga. So with this, I conclude my short explanation on the purpose of life. Thank you.